sports.
We are Blackmore. We are Blackmore.
Last night, all it took was one swing of the bat to determine the outcome as Chris Davis' grand slam in the third inning propelled the O's to a 5-1 victory. Today, left-hander Matt Moore goes to the hill looking to find his form and get the Rays back on the winning track. Game 3 of the series between the Rays and the Baltimore Orioles is upon us, with the current series even at 1 game apiece. Rays winning the first game 3-1, dropping last night 5-1. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to an afternoon of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Great to have you aboard. Well, the Rays have gone 16-9 when the opposition starts a left-handed pitcher, and recently the Rays have fared even better than that. 11 of those wins have come in the last 12 starts. Left-handers have gone to the mound against the Rays. We'll see how they fare today.
And there's an easy explanation for that, and that's that they're mostly right-handed hitting lineup that the Rays run out there against lefties is simply better. I mean, James Loney's going to be out there. He's going to be the only left-handed hitter, but he's a guy that's proven over time that he can hit lefties. Other than that, the average for the lineup against left-handed hitters about 20 points higher, on bases up, slugging percentage, OPS, and they've beaten some good ones too. They've hung an L on Chris Sale, Dallas Keuchel. They've already hung one on Bruce Chen and want to put another one on him here this afternoon. They've gotten it done in the past. Can they continue that hot streak? We'll find out soon enough.
And here is the pitching matchup. Matt Moore, 4 starts this year, 1-1, still looking to find exactly where he'd like to be, coming back from Tommy John surgery. And Wei-Yin Chen, the lefty, in 18 starts this year, he comes in with a mark of 4-6 and a 2.86 earned run average. The Rays seem to see him every other week. Rene Rivera, the Rays catcher, has emerged right now as the top throwing catcher in the major leagues, gunning down over 40% of opposing base stealers. Rich Hollenberg will break his technique down in a moment.
there's Rene Rivera leading all major league catchers in throwing out stolen base attempts. As Dwayne mentioned, as a group, Tampa Bay's catchers as a whole are also first in the big leagues in that category, but it takes much more than a rocket arm to be a good catcher. And in honor of Sunday being fun day for the kids here at Tropicana Field, Rene Rivera took some time out to teach the kids the backstop traditions of being a good catcher.
All right, the three key that I use for blocking balls. The first one, I have to be in athletic position. Then the second one, when I call a pitch, I want to go up a little bit with the back of my backside. And then once the ball coming and you see it up in the dirt, you just throw your glove first, and then your body follow your gloves, and then the ball hit you. So let me show you a couple of those. Throwing to second, basically the same position as we block the ball, so we're going to be athletic position. So we're going to squat down. So once the ball comes, you want to wait for the ball, then start moving the left knee a little bit. We shade a little bit to throw second, and then the right foot is going to be right behind it, and then become a pitcher. Now you throw into second, follow through to second like a pitcher dog, and then you're going to make a perfect throw. So let's do a couple so you can see the speed of it.
Great stuff from Rene. Rays catchers as a whole have a streak of 11 straight games without allowing a stolen base. That's the third best stretch in club history. Just over 2 minutes to go till first pitch. It'll be Matt Moore against fellow left-hander Wei-Yin Chen. Dwayne Stats and Brian Anderson with the call coming up on Sun Sports.
Moore trotting to the mound to face the Baltimore Orioles this afternoon. Matt with a record of 1-1. Trying to get a series victory for the Rays here against the Orioles. Here is the lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Baltimore with David Lowe again leading off, followed by Chris Davis and Manny Machado. Adam Jones, J.J. Hardy, and Nolan Reimold down the middle. Ryan Flaherty at first, hit seventh in front of Jonathan Scope. Caleb Joseph, the catcher, bats ninth.
Matt Moore this afternoon. What to look for from Matt is his delivery able to be repeated. If he's able to do that, that will lead to the fastball command being much improved, and that will lead to success.
First pitch of this game is a strike call. First pitch presented by Pinch a Penny. Fouled back. Fastball at 92. We have started to see the return of that velocity. Might not be exactly where it was before completely and where he wants it to be, but it's been headed in the right direction.
It certainly has. And listen, this is a process for Matt Moore. It's going to take some time before he's back to the form that he showed. Well, that's a pretty good start. How about that? 3 straight heaters. He got them all into good areas, picks up the strikeout. But, you know, his last full season, 2013. And so it's going to take a little bit of time. But you're right. We've seen 92 to 94. Those pitches at the top of the zone and making quick work of David Lowe.
So a good start right there. And that'll be Chris Davis, the designated hitter. And there's a strike. Fastball, 4 straight strikes here from Matt Moore.
Well, I really think that this start here in particular, very key for Matt Moore to have a clean start. You know, not to get into trouble. A lot of base runners early, a lot of pitches early. Clean start would go a long way towards this Rays team picking up a series victory.
So after 4 consecutive strikes, a couple of misses to Davis, 1 on a breaking ball, and then the fastball, it's 2-1. 2-2. Well, I think you're so right about that. It's important for the Rays as a team, and of course Matt Moore individually here. It's a nice quick start for him.
I mean, even if on the back end, you know, he needs to be picked up a little bit, that's fine. You know, get into the flow of the game, but, you know, have that quick start where the team's going, hey, listen, Matt Moore's got it today. Let's go out and win this thing. Really, really will help out.
And a close pitch misses. So he walks Davis, going 3-2 with him before issuing the pass.
Well, let's go ahead and set the Rays defense for you here this afternoon. Brought to you by BMW. In the outfield left to right, we have Joey Butler, Brandon Geyer, and Steven Souza Jr. Across that infield, third to first, Jake Elmore, Tim Beckham, Logan Forsythe, and James Loney with Kurt DeSalle behind the plate.
Manny Machado continues to hit third in this series. Playing third, hitting third. After the first one, and a high popper on the right side. That's Loney at first base, making the catch. Took a while for that one to come down.
Well, that was a ball that was middle of the plate. Manny Machado got underneath it just a hair. And you're right, he popped that thing straight in. This ball is going to be middle, but a little bit underneath that, straight up.
2 outs.
You're taken out on that pitch. No question about it.
It was Adam Jones.
Especially the way that Machado has been swinging the bat.
Yeah, he has 21 home runs. And has been in and around the top 10 in both slugging percentage and on base percentage. And has emerged as right now the home run hitter in their lineup. Chris Davis, always a threat. He's at first. We learned that last night again. Check swing roller. Tough play. Not going to be in time. Forsythe had to come a long way after that check swing roller. And Jones has an infield hit.
Well, you know, that's a check swing by Adam Jones, and the placement could not have been any better. The Rays are going to have their defense swung around. Here's Logan Forsythe, of course, Matt Moore. Anything that gets by them to the right side is going to be trouble. And this wasn't hit hard, but Logan Forsythe had to cover a lot of ground. And while he's doing that, guess what? So's Adam Jones, and he's able to beat it out.
Yeah, all Jones has to do is run a straight line from where Forsythe was. He had to go get the ball, make the barehanded pickup and the throw, and just could not get it there in time. So it goes as an infield hit.
They both had to cover about 90 feet. One just had to keep running. The other one had to try to make a play.
Strike on J.J. Hardy. One and one. Two balls and a strike. Hardy was on twice last night. He started the third inning with a base hit off an 0-2 pitch, and eventually Chris Davis hit the grand slam last night. And it's 3-1 on Hardy now.
J.J. Hardy, he's got that long, flat swing, and you know he'll be sitting on the fastball here.
And a base hit past Elmore into left. Butler with a pickup. Throw's going to come to the plate, but it's not in time. Davis scores on the base hit. Hardy gives Baltimore a 1-0 lead.
Well, you know, you set a hitter up in the 3-1 count. And with Matt Moore, you know, you're going to get a fastball about 95% of the time. Well, he gets it. It's running middle in, and he just hammers this ball. Jake Elmore, tremendous effort. I mean, just off the end of the glove. Able to squeeze it by him, and the Orioles jump out early.
Nolan Reimold. 2 men on with a run home, 2 outs. Toward the gap into left center field. That's out of the reach of Geyer. Rolls away. Jones scores. Hardy heads to the plate. He will score. It's a double for Reimold, and just that quickly, the Rays and Moore are down 3-0.
And I think that was a first pitch changeup to Reimold, and he lines that ball out into the gap. Brandon Geyer doing everything that he can to try to save this inning for the Rays, and with the dive, he almost comes up. It was a changeup. It stayed middle up. Reimold, not fooled at all, was right on it. And watch Brandon Geyer going for it. Doesn't quite get there, and then he pushes that ball away from Joey Butler, and that's what allowed J.J. Hardy to come all the way around and score from first.
Ryan Flaherty fouls the first pitch away. A 3-run first for Matt Moore here against the Orioles. Two.
You know, the last couple of hits, you'd love to have
Gotcha.
Longoria and Kiermaier take a crack at those two. Nothing against Elmore or Geyer. I mean, the effort all along the way, but you're talking about elite defenders.
It's Forsythe making the pick up there. Flaherty's out. The inning is over, the top half anyway, and the Orioles score 3. Light up, presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Finds Brandon Guyer in center, Steven Souza Jr. in right, and Evan Longoria in the DH. Logan Forsythe, Joey Butler, and James Loney down the middle. Tim Beckham, Jake Elmore, and Kurt Casale completing the lineup for the Rays.
Taking the mound this afternoon for the Baltimore Orioles, left-hander Wei-Yin Chen, and he is on a streak right now of 6 consecutive quality starts, the longest streak by any Orioles starter this year, and that is reflected in the numbers as far as the ERA goes at 2.86, belies the 4-6 record.
And here's Brandon Guyer. Strike one. Guyer hitting .261, 5 out of 14 against Chen. Two strikes. Chen starting this game at 4-6, as you mentioned. He does give up his fair share of home runs, but a number of those solo shots. It's 2-2 with Guyer.
You know, as much as we've seen Chen and Miguel Gonzalez, they're like mirror images of each other. Lefty, righty. They're going to be, you know, firm stuff. It's not overwhelming around the plate. They use their defense. They know how to pitch, mix speeds, take a little bit off, change locations. And Miguel Gonzalez was, you know, he's been great against the Rays this year. He was tremendous once again last night.
7 2/3 of one-run baseball. Only run on the home run by Kurt Casale. Another fastball, and this one is fouled out of play. Well, what the Rays had hoped for would have been a clean top half of the first and then come in the bottom half and jump out to a lead. Relying on Gonzalez last night, picking up his 9th win. Popper to the right side. Flaherty off first, makes the catch.
Now let's take a look at Baltimore's defense, see how that's going to line up. Brought to you by BMW. In the outfield, left to right, David Lowe, Adam Jones, and Nolan Reimold. Across that infield, third to first, Manny Machado, J.J. Hardy, Jonathan Scope, and Ryan Flaherty, with Caleb Joseph behind the plate.
Steven Souza Jr. 7 at-bats against Chen this year with 1 hit. That was a home run. No ball, no strikes. Flaherty after this one and will have a play. Yep, there's the infielder playing first base for you.
That's a couple of times already we've seen Ryan Flaherty easily get to balls that we've seen give trouble to other first basemen. Your typical first baseman, not as fleet of foot, but Ryan Flaherty, normally the Orioles' second baseman, is able to get over there and make that play with ease.
Here's Evan Longoria, serving as the designated hitter. Pitch is upstairs. One and one the count here on Evan. Two and one. Curveball down. And evens the count. 2 and 2.
You see what he does. Evan Longoria, a bat in the lineup that you don't want to get hot. He moved the ball all over the zone, out of the zone. And that's what Wei Yin Chen will do. You know, he'll come at you with the fastball, curveball, at the changeup. Does a lot of good work, you know, with the fastball in. This right-handed hitting, mostly right-handed hitting lineup by the Rays has got to be aware of that heater in. A lot of success for Wei Yin in there.
And he delivers that one in, and a popper into shallow left. So Scope got out there to make the catch. 1, 2, 3, go the Rays. 3-0 Baltimore. Toyota. Let's go places. By Morgan Auto Group. Make it Morgan. We make it happen. And by Grow Financial. Don't go through life. Grow through life. Presents galore on Christmas in July here at Tropicana Field.
So that's what they went with, huh?
That's it.
The fake hair and the glasses. The disguise, if you will.
First pitch to Scope is upstairs, 1-0. Jonathan Scope spent a significant amount of this year on the disabled list. Back end, their second baseman last year, emerging with some power. You see this year 257 with 6 home runs. He'll strike out a lot. That on base percentage will be low, but he's some pop in the bottom part of the order for them. Two and one.
And like most young hitters, he's very aggressive, and that's why, you know, he'll struggle with consistent contact and he'll struggle with the strikeout.
Takes a strike there on a fastball. It's 2-2. Full count. Matt made 21 pitches in the first inning. See Caleb Joseph, the catcher, on deck. Fly ball, towering fly ball to center. Geyer's going to have plenty of room. One away.
Well, it wasn't the fast start, Dwayne, like you mentioned, that the Rays would have wanted, but this is going to have to be a grind day. You've got a tough assignment in Wei Yin Chen, the way that he's throwing the baseball, but the Rays have proven that they've had a lot of good success against left-handed starters in those games. And Matt Moore, he's going to have to put something together. He started the second inning off fine.
Pitch to Joseph is down.
He's going to all start with the fastball command. That's big for every pitcher, but it is extremely important for Matt Moore.
Into left field. Butler is there and makes the catch. 2 gone. Well, the damage in the first inning all coming within the scope of a couple pitches, and a couple plays would have been outstanding defensive plays. Geyer almost pulled it off in center. Elmore made a diving attempt at third.
And think about the first 2 base runners. You had a walk, a check swing.
First pitch strike to David Lowe. So far the difference from leading and trailing has been razor thin. In the early part of this game, breaking ball is low. 1-1.
It's a reminder of last night's game. How close, with Erasmo Ramirez not getting the swing from Chris Davis and not getting the call. Could have easily been called too. And that ends up leading to a full count grand slam.
Pop foul, third base side for Elmore, and it's a 1-2-3 second inning. Logan Forsythe will open the bottom of the second for the Rays. 3-0 Baltimore. Big matchup. Logan Forsythe with a couple career home runs off the lefty Wei-Yin Chen. Logan comes in 6 of 20 against him. Which is wide. A lot of the home runs off Chen we mentioned are solo, and a lot of them come early in his starts. First 3 innings littered with home runs allowed. Under this one, and a pop fly into left.
I'll give you the odds stat of the day, and this means absolutely nothing, but what you're speaking of, he's given up 7 of his 17 home runs between pitches 16 and 30. There's no reason for that. It doesn't make any sense, but I mean, it's a pretty high percentage in that small time frame.
Well, he's just made his 17th pitch. So this is the zone to get him.
You've got 13 pitches to do damage. Get swinging.
So Forsythe out on the fly ball to begin the inning, and here's Joey Butler. It's a strike.
Well, we talked about the fact that you've got to be aware of that fastball in, and he moves that ball in and out. You're just never comfortable with the side of plate he's going to use.
Joey Butler, a couple of hits off Wei-Yin Chen, including a home run in Baltimore on that breaking pitch. Outside the bag foul at third. Butler getting the start today, down in the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Butler starting for the 9th time in the last 24 games and is out on the high fastball there.
That's what he does. Think about that at bat from Wei-Yin Chen against Butler. Fastball in, strike 1, fastball off the plate, breaking ball down, heater up. Look at how he uses the strike zone. You just can never get comfortable with him, and he is a lot of fastballs in on righties.
Yeah, not only was that pitch up, but really in.
Yep.
So if you dissect just what he's done so far, it's impressive. Now James Loney. If you look at the Rays lineup, Geyer, right-handed hitter, same thing, Socha, Longoria, Souza, beg your pardon, Geyer, Souza Jr., Longoria, right hand, then Forsythe, then Butler, Loney, the lefty, and then everybody else right-handed as well, Beckham, Elmore, and Casale. Loney comes in, though, 5 of 16 with a home run off Chen.
He's got that track record, you know, the last couple of seasons hitting left-handed pitching, so you don't worry about putting him in this lineup. And you also get his defense. And that, you know, last week or so, it's not been up to James Loney's standards, but listen, you're going to hit a bump in the road every now and then, but typically you can count on him for Gold Glove level defense.
He takes a strike now. It's 3-1. We mentioned it at the end of the game last night. The Rays over the last 5 games have committed 9 errors, which is just completely out of character for this team, and have not made some other plays that you would anticipate they might make. Only one man on the left side, that's Machado, and Loney hits it right at him. The Rays are up and down 1-2-3. On to the third, 3-0 Baltimore. Time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag #SSDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. It was a fastball to start the third, and a big swing and miss by Chris Davis. Uh-oh, look out, up the middle, base hit. People ducking on that one. And Davis is on for the second time.
From the center field camera angle, I ducked. I mean, that was a curveball. You were not expecting Chris Davis. Yee, that was a rocket.
So leadoff base hit. 4 Baltimore hits. Matt Moore wants a new baseball. Is that the same one that Davis hit?
Well, if it was probably in the shape of an egg.
Yeah, it could have been lopsided. Here's Machado. He's a big guy, strong, hits the ball hard. 1 ball, no strikes to Machado.
We saw that in the ball game last night. He connects with one clean. That ball jumps off the bat.
A 2-0 count. Difficult place for Matt Moore to be. Coming back from Tommy John surgery, not easy, as you know.
I wouldn't, but okay. And never made it back. Tried a couple times.
Well, see how difficult it is
but
to come back?
Never made it back.
You really know. And here you are. He's gone through his rehab starts and still looking for the consistency in this, his 5th start now with the Rays. Frustrating. You can only imagine how he feels out there right now. Count is full on that foul ball.
You know, Matt Moore, when you break him down mechanically, they're pretty simple. You know, he doesn't have a lot of excess movement. You know, he'll go with a high leg kick out of the stretch, sometimes more of a slide step, you know, which a lot of pitchers do. And everything seems to be in order as far as being able to control. But for whatever reason, he just has not been able to repeat that delivery often enough. And that is the key. As fundamental as that sounds and as basic as that sounds, that's really what it boils down to. And when he hones in that repeatable delivery, you will see the success follow. No question about it. Because the stuff's good enough. The stuff is good enough, but the stuff will be erratic, and the command and location will be erratic if you're not in the same release point every time.
Well, think about this. He's coming back from Tommy John surgery, and combined he had 5 rehab starts and 4 starts with the Rays. Now this is 5th. You put those together, he made a total of 40 innings. He strikes out Machado with a fastball for the first out. So he was just 40 innings back from Tommy John surgery, including the rehab starts.
Well, and the rehab starts plus maybe 1 or 2 of his, you know, starts here with the Rays. That's spring training.
Yeah.
That's a spring training after missing a year and a half. Mm-hmm. You know, so you can understand where there would still be a little bit rust. And then, by the way, you add on to the fact we're going to thrust you right back in the middle of a pennant race, which, you know, just kind of ups the ante a little bit. So it is not an easy or enviable position that he's in.
Adam Jones fouls one out of play.
But you know what? He relishes the challenge. He doesn't complain. He doesn't lament. He's happy to be back. And he, more than anybody, wants success and wants to do it the right way and wants to be on point with every pitch. As much as we talk about it, that's what drives him. And so, you know, he'll continue to work until it gets exactly where he wants it.
Well, it's a process that he has to go through. This one down around the feet of Jones, and he was hit by that pitch for a moment, not quite sure if he was hit or not. Meanwhile, Chris Davis did the right thing as a runner. He just kept going and went all the way to third. But finally, James Hoy indicating that Jones was hit by that pitch.
And not at all early on. That ball, yeah, right off the toe and then the shin. But you're right. You know, we often say, go make the play. Go finish the play, and the umpires will let you know. And that was heads up by Chris Davis, because if that remains just a ball, guess what? You got a runner on third base then.
J.J. Hardy, 2 men on with 1 out. There's a strike. Hardy drove in a run with a base hit into left in the first. Back to that point on Matt Moore. There's just no way around it. It's a process that he has to go through. And whether you're trying to work your way through rehab starts in the minor leagues or up at this level, it's not easy. And we've seen him put together a series of pitches where he wants them over a short period of a sequence of pitches, and then other times just missing.
Strikeout Manny Machado, and then throw a curveball down and in that hits Adam Jones in the shin off the bounce. I mean, that really is, you know, kind of a snapshot of what's going on.
It's 2-2 now to Hardy. And you get into a situation where you're ahead of a hitter. If you're healthy and on your game, good. It's 1-2. We can put him away. He's just not to that point yet where he can consistently execute that. Might think that way, but executing it's something else.
Oh, there you go.
And he puts Hardy away.
Well, and you know what, Dwayne, to that point, look at the last two pitches there to Hardy. You know, 1 and 2, he went fastball, middle of the plate up. Now, that was by design. So that was a good command pitch, even though it was a ball. So, okay, I missed with the fastball up. I'll follow that up with the curveball. And look where he puts this. Perfect. Right below the zone. He works that high fastball four-seamer to the curveball below the zone. A great combo. And he picks up the strikeout. Outstanding sequence.
And so it has to be a sequence like that that keeps him going in pursuit of the consistency that he's looking for.
Those are the sequences in your mind. You've got to remember, what was I feeling on that pitch? What did my body feel like? Those are the things you got to log away. I mean, even write down to where, you know, where you can.
This one skipping past Casale, and both men will now be in scoring position.
That's another prime example. You know, the way that he finished off Hardy, and then all of a sudden right here, this ball's middle away. He wants it, and he ends up yanking that in to the point that Casale, you know, cannot come up with it.
So it goes as a wild pitch. That's the 5th wild pitch he's been charged with, and this is his 5th start. 2nd and 3rd, 2 gone. And a 2-0 count on Reimold. The Rays with first base open will put him on. So it turns out to be an intentional walk after he had fallen behind 2-0. Measured, calculated move by the Rays here with Flaherty coming up.
Well, you're going with the, you know what, we'll go ahead and put him on lefty, like the chances better. And so here we go.
Well, Flaherty tends to be more aggressive at the plate. So we'll see how this pans out. He lines it, and it's caught by Forsythe. Went after the first pitch fastball, and Logan got over there to make the catch on a hard hit ball. Orioles leave him loaded. 3-0 Baltimore.
a Christmas and July Day, but for Florida State fans, it's also Chop at the Trop Day. A number of Garnet and Gold fans out here to witness their head football coach, Jimbo Fisher, throwing to a hand-picked battery mate. Yes, that is Bucs rookie quarterback Jameis Winston catching the first pitch thrown by Jimbo. FSU Seminoles open their schedule in 40 days against that juggernaut that is the Texas State Bobcats. And then the following week, guys, of note to some local fans, they'll play the USF Bulls at Doak Campbell Stadium. Fellas?
I can't believe we're already
that close?
Lining up for football. I mean, lining up for football. NFL training camp starts soon. College football right around the corner. It's already that time of year. I couldn't be happier. Love it. I mean, football season signals, well, number one, football season. Number two, pennant race baseball, which is the best kind. Exciting time of year.
Yep. A lot of Seminoles out here today. And on top of that, I know that, you know, you're a big Cleveland guy. James Hoy played umpire from Cleveland. Went to Ohio State. I don't know how you think about that.
Ohio State trumps all, so now I really don't care too much about talking about him.
He was in the.
I don't care.
Okay,
we're good.
Good. Just thought I'd drop that on you, let you know. Ground ball down to third. Machado makes the play, and Tim Beckham is out third to first.
You know, most Clevelanders, they you know, tend to make wise decisions. I'm not sure that he did on his choice of schooling.
Well, he majored in computer science, and while he was there, because the AAA club was there, got interested in umpiring and decided to pursue that instead of computer science.
How about that? That is actually a pretty interesting story. You know, it's one thing to pursue. Think about umpires. Not that many overall, and there's not that much turnover.
That's right.
You know, that's the thing. You know, you get a lot of these guys, you make it up to the big leagues, guess what? You're not going anywhere. You're going to ump as long as you possibly can, and so what a journey.
James Hoy calling the balls and strikes. Two strikes on Elmore. One ball, two strikes. Into right. Reimold makes the catch. 2 up and 2 down, so that's 8 in a row retired by Wei-Yin Chen.
And you know, this first time through the order, how many times have we seen Wei-Yin Chen with that fastball middle in against these righties? And how many outs off of that pitch? Well, I'll tell you, he gets so many outs in on righties, and that's because he gets you leaning and looking out over the plate. He does a great job of hiding the ball. You know, when you watch his delivery, watch that hand come out of the glove and stay right behind that back leg. So you don't end up picking that release point up until that ball's about to be released. He doesn't have that arm swing that you can follow. It just hides the ball well, presents it late.
Casali lifts it into center. Adam Jones waits on this one and puts it away. 3 up, 3 down for the third consecutive inning. 3-0 Baltimore. Form your outfit with a Rays fedora. Come to Tropicana Field Saturday, August 8th, and watch the Rays battle it out with the Mets and receive a Rays fedora while you're at it. For tickets and more information, call 888-FAN-RAYS or pay a visit to RaysBaseball.com. Jonathan Scope takes the pitch down. Yeah, that likeness did not do justice to that fedora.
Oh, the angle that the picture was shot from?
Yeah.
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 It'll look better than that.
I saw Darcy Raymond, one of the Rays executives, wearing it the other day. It's pretty good looking.
Fired one on, huh?
Frank Sinatra would be wearing that. The whole Rat Pack gives you that kind of look.
I say you and I, next road trip, we take fedora, we go zoot suit and find a speakeasy and go have a night.
Foul ball out of play. Well, I'm in. You know, maybe
in Chicago. A speakeasy in Chicago. It won't get any more real than that.
Perfect place. Topped off by the fedoras.
We'll be taken seriously.
And how?
We may not even have to know the code.
Frank sent us. We're good. 2-2 now to Scope. To the right side. Are you kidding me? He has a base hit.
You know,
I don't know what to say about that.
You've got nothing. There's nothing to say about that. You know, obviously the Rays have their defense set up, and you've got Logan Forsythe, an open, wide side, and Matt Moore's going to make his pitch. Fastball in, gets weak, bad contact, and that's just the way it's been going.
Leadoff man aboard. Here's Caleb Joseph. And he hits one a mile. That one is gone. First pitch fastball. And after that little squibber to the opposite side for a base hit, Joseph makes it 5-0.
Caleb Joseph ended up going down and making contact with that pitch like a left-handed hitter. You think about down and in to lefties, down and into the righty, drop the head, pull the hands through, and there was no doubt once it left the bat.
You know, that really makes sense when you think about the matchup. Lefty-righty, righty-lefty. You know, if a left-handed hitter likes that pitch from a right-handed pitcher, well, why wouldn't a right-handed hitter like that from a left-handed pitcher?
Well, it just depends on your approach and the style of hitter you are. But, yeah, those guys that stay upright, I mean, you're talking about just hands high and you just drop them. And that barrel follows. And when you make contact like that, you just it's a no-doubter. It's absolutely a no-doubter. You've created the leverage, you've made the solid contact, and that ball goes.
One and two now to Lowe.
That's why the rule of thumb typically, and this, you know, everything's, you know, has outliers and there are, you know, anomalies, but when you're coming in lefty, you know, left-handed pitcher, where does Wei Yin Chen have all of his success against right-handed hitters? It's at the hands and above. You know, not too many times down and in. You see when he comes in, glove side, and the same goes for a righty, glove side. You want that ball at the hands.
First out, Lowe retired. Forsythe throws him out.
So that's kind of the way you approach it. You know, if as a lefty, I see a right-handed hitter and we want to go fastball in, I'm aiming for those hands. That's what I want, or just above them. You know, the down and in is sometimes where you get into trouble. Hard to pull the hands through when the pitch is right at him.
Yeah.
Not quite as hard when it's down.
Strike one on Chris Davis. Five runs, 6 hits for Baltimore. 0-2. A ball, 2 strikes. Well, the dilemma the Rays are in as they try to remain relevant in the East is that the only way Matt Moore is going to get to where he wants to be, needs to be, is by pitching. And unfortunately, the process to get there involves a day like today. Take a look at the standings. The Rays right now third, 6.5 back, a half up on 4th place Baltimore. Davis strikes out. 4th strikeout for Matt Moore.
Number 13, Manny Machado.
Now Manny Machado. Breaking ball attempt there, and not much out of that one. Two balls, no strikes. 2 outs after the 2-run home run. Back to the mound. Moore throws him out. 2-run score on the home run by Caleb Joseph. 5-0 Baltimore. In the game today and all season, Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. Top of the order, Brandon Guyer. Kurt Casale, who hit the home run last night, he's in there catching again today.
Day game after a night game action.
Guyer check swing and a roller. Flaherty at first makes that play unassisted.
Well, Brandon Guyer is saying, listen, it's working for Baltimore. Check swing to the right side, gets them hits. Why not me?
It's 10 in a row, retired by Chen.
Well, the one thing that you hope is the fact that this Rays lineup has seen Wei-Yin Chen all the way through once now. Understanding that the fastball in is a big part of what he's had success with the first 3 innings. He's going to come in again.
And that's a strike in there, says Hoy.
Well, and the problem is, the downside is the fact that Chen hasn't missed. When he's gone in there with that pitch, he has gotten it where he's wanted it. And that's made all the difference in the world.
It's 1-1.
You make these hitters aware of that fastball in. They're not so apt to dive out over the plate as the game moves on.
Now 1-2. He just moves it all around.
Yep. I mean, really, his location, it's like Miguel Gonzalez was last night. Just moving the ball around the zone. He's been impeccable with command. And about the time that he continues to pound you in, all of a sudden he either goes soft away or fastball away, and you just lock up with either a very defensive swing or you just don't swing at all. Like that. Late right there on that foul ball. Nice job by Souza Jr. to foul it off, but you start to get defensive because of the way Chen is pitching you.
And he goes down with that. Had him out in front. Second strikeout for Chen. This one on the breaking ball.
He spins this so well that I think Steven Souza Jr. for a second there thought that may be a four-seamer away again. So we started the swing early and then realizing halfway through, uh-oh, that thing is breaking. And that's why he was way out in front.
Evan Longoria, the designated hitter today, fouls a fastball out of play for a strike. Foul, back a third. That puts Chen ahead in the count, 0-2. High shot back into deep left center. That's going to go. 0-2 fastball, and Longoria has the Rays on the board. Tenth home run of the year for Evan. And for the Rays, their first hit in this game.
Boy, and you steal a run because you're 2 outs into an inning in an 0-2 count. And Evan Longoria, they want that fastball up and away, not quite up where he wanted it. And Evan got great extension and just enough.
So the Rays are on the board. Here's Logan Forsythe. He lifts one high and deep to left. Lowe will go to the track, to the wall. Gone! Back-to-back home runs for the Rays. For Forsythe, number 11.
First 2 real mistakes that Chen has made. Not getting the ball up to Evan, he paid for it. Not getting this fastball into Logan, and he paid for it. That ball's middle. See, you make the hitters aware of the fastball in, you had better get it to the spot. If you don't, this is what happens.
So Longoria and Forsythe go back-to-back, and the Rays with an explosion. They're just shot to right field. That's going to be over the head of Reimold. Butler's on his way to second, and he's in there. In the span of 3 pitches, the Rays have hit 2 home runs and a double. Suddenly they've come to life.
Well, everything was going so easy for Wei-Yin Chen. And then all of a sudden, boy, here it comes. Homer. Boy, hangs this pitch up out over the plate. Joey Butler very good at going up the middle the other way. That time with authority. Clears the head of Reimold. And you finally got some life in this building.
Chen had retired 11 in a row and was up on Longoria 0-2 when Evan hit the home run. The first pitch to Forsythe, and Logan hit it out. And the first pitch to Joey Butler, boom, a double into right center. Now James Loney. Loney out short to first, his first time. It's in there for a strike, curveball. Little looper into short left, and that's going to be caught. Lowe coming in to make the grab, and that'll retire the side, but the Rays get on the board. Back-to-back home runs from Evan Longoria and Logan Forsythe. The Rays with 2 runs in through 4. It's 5-2 Baltimore. Top of the 5th. One of those things. It's the top of the 5th. The Rays with 2 in the bottom of the 4th make it a 5-2 game. And Adam Jones will lead off here with the Rays suddenly feeling they're right back in this thing.
Yeah, the buzz is back in the building, so this is one of those very important shutdown innings. Need desperately to throw up a 0.
Adam Jones starts it for Baltimore, the middle part of the order. And the fastball, he missed it, strike 1. Hardy next, and then Reimold. A 1-1 count. Jones has been on twice. He had that check swing single against the shift in the first. Checks on this pitch. He was hit by a pitch his last time. Jones after an 0-for-4 night on Friday and 2 hits last night. Cut and a miss. We'll go to 2-2.
Not actually that surprising. Adam Jones not accustomed to walking. That 2-1 fastball nowhere near the zone, but he saw a 2-1 fastball.
Foul, backing out of play. Now Matt Moore up to 77 pitches, 88 his high pitch count, 83 the last time out. And Alex Colomé is now up in the bullpen. Back of first, that's a foul ball. So we'll see another 2-2 pitch coming. Well, 2 home runs hit by the Rays in the bottom of the 4th. The 18th and 19th home runs given up by Chin this year. 16 of the 19 have been solo home runs.
That's pretty astounding, you know, and you can live with those. 1 run at a time. Back to back, you don't prefer that, but 1 here, 1 there.
Well, he'd walked only 25 now in over 120 innings. So he's not putting a lot of base runners on in front of those hitters. But the Rays gladly take those 2 runs. And on a double by Butler, had hopes of maybe Loney's short fly ball to left would somehow drop, but it was caught. There's a base hit. He swung at ball 4 and has a leadoff single here in the 5th inning. Emily Austin standing by right now. Let's check in with her. Emily?
Dwayne, a name we've seen in the lineup quite a bit this season has been Logan Forsythe. Last year, he only had 77 starts in the entire 2014 season. This year, he's already at 92 starts. In order to adjust to the heavier workload, you'll see Kevin Cash giving him as many consecutive days off as possible. Forsythe also said that he's been managing the amount of ground balls he's taking. But the most important thing he said was breaking a sweat on his days off, because when your body gets that time off, it goes into recovery mode and it's trying to heal itself from the grind of this game.
Well, he certainly earned all that playing time and is forcing the issue now in new ground for him, and he continues to perform extremely well on both sides of the baseball.
You know, when you talk about Logan Forsythe's workload, the one thing I look for are the quick hands. You know, he maybe has the quickest hands in the Rays lineup, and what we saw in that home run, still there's no slide.
Loney after the foul ball, but it's on top of the Rays dugout, out of his reach. It's 1-2.
But you know, he's a guy that keeps himself in good shape and you know, prepares himself well. He comes out ready to play, always high energy. He's played a great second base, been very consistent at the plate. He's done a heck of a job for the Rays this year.
Beckett to second to Forsythe, and he turns the double play. 6-4-3. Hardy grounds into 2. And he races the leadoff single.
Right off the end of the bat, and that made for an easy play for Beckham. It's going to bounce up nice, and now just feed, easy feed, and the Rays routine, and they get 2.
Nolan Reimold lining a base hit into center. So he follows up the double play with his second hit. He's on for the 3rd time.
Number 3, Ryan Flaherty.
So Reimold's aboard. Now we'll see the left-handed hitter, Ryan Flaherty. Flaherty 0 for 2, hit the ball very hard back in the 3rd. It'll line drive, leaving the bases loaded. This one back to the mound. Moore's tossed to first. No runs, a couple hits, a double play, helped, and a man left. Bottom of inning 5 coming up, 5-2 Baltimore.
the last inning trying to make a comeback against Baltimore. It's Hall of Fame day alongside my Hall of Famer Orestes Destrada. So who better to talk about what is arguably the greatest pitching staff ever to go in to the Hall of Fame? Look at Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, John Smoltz, of course Craig Biggio going in as well. But as far as classes of pitching go, this might be the best one ever. What are your thoughts?
There's no doubt about it. I faced personally all three of them, including Randy Johnson being his first strikeout ever in the major leagues. I always tell the big unit he couldn't have gotten it nowhere without me. Those other 4,875 or some strikeouts. But I do remember that day in Montreal when he got called up. I was with the Pirates and hitting behind Glenn Wilson, who actually hit a home run ahead of me. And I go, well, this guy, maybe he's nothing. Felt like 110 miles an hour, and I swung through 3 fastballs. I really didn't see them, but they sounded like strikes. So, oh my.
And that ball drops in fair, and that will end up with a runner on second base to start the inning. Timmy Beckham gets a little help from the outfield to start off the bottom of the inning. You mentioned the, going up against the unit. You faced Smoltz and you faced Pedro as well.
Yeah, I faced all three of them and obviously played against Biggio. Right there you see. Ooh, he overran that one. Very ugly. But, all deserving. All 4 of those players were consistently all-stars throughout their whole career. So really for me, a Hall of Famer is a guy that dominates in one or more aspects of his game for a good 10-plus years. These guys did it for 15-plus years. And Pedro, one of my heroes, is a Latin guy, one of the smartest guys that I ever faced. And he really worked you well. Smoltz had 4 dramatic pitches. So, listen, all deserving and very proud to have played against him.
Dwayne, BA, you guys have called games with all these guys mentioned, Biggio, Martinez, Randy Johnson, and, of course, John Smoltz. Out of those 3 guys, 9 total Cy Youngs now inducted into Cooperstown today. Fellas?
Yeah, some great pitching going on there. It was always fun when the Rays, and even back to the Devil Ray days when Pedro was pitching for Boston, had a few dust-ups there. But it was really amazing to watch him work. He was, you could appreciate what was going on out there on the mound when he was working. Here the Rays trying to work their way back into this game. Liner into left. That's going to fall for a base hit by Elmore. Beckham will go to third and stop there. Rays got a break to get Beckham aboard on what was ruled a double for him. Raimel just overran that ball and found himself in an impossible situation. So now it's first and third for the Rays with nobody out.
And I think you've got a pitcher potentially on the mound right now in Wei-Yin Chen that is snake bit. I mean, this game has really started to unravel on him quick. He was 1 pitch away from getting out of the 4th inning with nothing. 0-2 count on Longoria. Home run, double. Gets out of it from there. A play not made in right field, double. Now a base hit. I'll tell you what, Ray's got a great opportunity.
Kurt Casale at the plate. You see further action in the bullpen. This one is upstairs. Well, Casale connected in the 8th inning last night, hitting the home run off Miguel Gonzalez. And after being down 5-0, the Rays now have the potential tying run at the plate with nobody out in the 5th. That's a strike. Here's a look at Kurt Casale. Getting up in the count, 2-1, and belting one out to left.
How about a sequel right now? Early release.
Big cut. He comes up empty on the fastball.
He was going for it.
Yep.
Well, Chen will be going for the strikeout here in a 1-2 count, trying to stay away from contact.
Popped into shallow right. Raimel in, making the catch. And the runners hold first and third as Casale is the first out of the inning.
He went right back to his money spot, and that's that fastball up and in. You get the swing through, or you get You know, that ball up the bat a little bit, missing the barrel, and just a weak fly ball to right field, and that keeps Tim Beckham right there at third base, not deep enough.
Here's Brandon Guyer. Guyer's nothing out of 2. Came into the game 5 out of 14 against Chen. There's a ball inside. Rays struck quickly in the 4th. Threatened again in the 5th. 1-1, fouling the fastball back. 5-2 ball game here. Yankees and the Twins just underway in Minnesota. No score, bottom of the 1st. Rays trying to trim the deficit in the bottom of the 5th at the Trop. 1-2.
Well, you saw that. Chen trying to go up and in again with that fastball, and he missed badly. That's the kind that leaks back out over the plate that you think, as soon as it leaves your hand, I'm in big trouble here. And Brandon Guyer just able to get above the swing. You can see right there with Caleb Joseph reaching back across the plate.
And now Guyer's hit by the pitch, and that's going to load the bases.
Well, an over correction there. Missed the fastball. He tried to come up and in and misses it out over the plate and says, okay, this one I got to make sure to get in there, except Brandon Guyer. We documented this all season. He gives up no room. Close to the plate, and he'll just take it. What he did right there.
So the bases are loaded. Steven Souza Jr. Boy, what he could do with one swing of that bat. Souza 0 for 2 so far in this game. And it's low in the dirt. Bouncing in front up to the right of Joseph. 1-0.
This is where, if you're Wei-Yin Chen, you start to paint yourself into the corner of having to come with a fastball, and Souza Jr. connects and the Rays will lead. That's just the way it's going to fly.
Tommy Hunter up in the Baltimore bullpen. Souza homered off Chen in Baltimore back on the 30th of May. Got ahead in the count 2-0, and then hit a fastball out to the opposite field. Oh, and he had a big cut right there.
I'll tell you, that command of Chen has gone south here over the last inning and a half.
So look at the home run to the opposite field in Baltimore.
He has that kind of strength to do the same thing here.
Ball 2. And now starting his 3rd time through the order. Oh, and another big cut. And the fastball, it's 2-2. Souza Jr. trying to give the Rays the lead. The 2-2. Take it down. Checked on the breaking ball.
And how about this situation here? Full count, bases juiced. Souza Jr. trying to think along with Wei-Yin Chen. Who's going to execute?
Full count, bases loaded, 1 out in the 5th. Oh, strike 3 call. Souza Jr. thrown the bat away. Tried to coax the walk and is called out on strikes.
Now that's the best pitch that Wei-Yin Chen has thrown in quite some time. Boy, did he bury that heater. Perfectly placed on the inside corner. It's a gutsy pitch, and he's able to execute it flawlessly.
Now Evan Longoria. Evan homered his last time up to get the Rays on the board. Keeps this one close. 1 ball, no strikes. We'll take the count to 1-1. Beckham opened with the double, got some help when Reimold overran the ball in right. Elmore singled with 2 outs. Geyer walked. Bases loaded, 2 gone for Longoria. Tap to third. Machado will play it to first, and the Rays threaten but leave the bases loaded. We're at the end of 5-2 Baltimore. Two of those runs coming on the double by Nolan Reimold. Caleb Joseph connected for a 2-run home run in the 4th to make it 5-0. Before the Rays bats came to life on an 0-2 pitch, and Evan Longoria hit the 2-out home run into left. On the very next pitch, Logan Forsythe connected and hit 1 out. The Rays threatened more. They left Butler in second in the 4th, and then the bases were left loaded in the bottom of the 5th. We go to the 6th, and Alex Colomé will take over with Matt Moore gone after working 5 innings of this game. Colomé 4-4, making his 19th appearance. His 6th out of the bullpen.
Well, and the more often that he's come out of the pen, the more comfortable that he has looked. And that's what you need right now, a comfortable Alex Colomé. Another 0. Give yourself a chance. Boy, that was a big opportunity to not come through on that last half inning. They had bases loaded, and they had 2 of their big guns up with 1 swing in the bat. Could have given the Rays the lead.
Yeah, you really love to come away with something, if not the lead, something out of that opportunity.
Well, you know, to the credit of Wei-Yin Chen, he saved his best for last. That full count fastball to Steven Souza Jr. was a perfect pitch. You just could not place it any better. And the changeup to Evan, on the outside corner, down, and he got exactly the result that he was looking for.
Oh, 2 to Scope. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Scope has scored a run and an infield hit in the 4th. And now it's 2-2. Deck, Caleb Joseph. We'll run the count all the way to 3-2. Checked in time on the high fastball. And he's out on the pitch up at 95. So the first man faced by Colomé strikes him out. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, and more every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. 1-0 the count to Joseph. One. Colomé following Moore. Matt made 87 pitches, 5 innings, 5 runs, 8 hits, gave up a home run. He walked 4, or struck out 4, walked 2. There's the strike. Also hit a man. And now Colomé's in there ahead of the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Two and two. Top of the order is on deck. Joseph watches the breaking pitch wide. So it's a 3-2 count.
It can be tough sometimes as a starting pitcher going out to the bullpen midstream in the middle of a season and trying to adapt to the different style of pitching where you don't have the luxury of coming in and working yourself into the flow of the game. You got to come in and start getting outs like right now.
Fly ball opposite field, sending Souza Jr. angling toward the corner a bit. He makes the catch.
Yeah, how many starters do we talk about where you say, well, listen, if you're going to get to this guy, get him early before he gets locked in, because once he gets locked in, it gets tough. You don't have that coming out of the pen. You had better come in locked in. You may get only pitch an inning, maybe 2. Even if you're the long man, 3 is about as long as you're going to go. And so you've got to come in pumping strikes, quality strikes, and sometimes that's not an easy transition for a guy. It should be, in theory, come in and get outs, but sometimes you see starters struggle with it. And I think in Alex Colomé's case, the first couple outings didn't look real comfortable coming out of the pen, but the last few, he started to look like a guy who's got his routine set down in the pen and now has a good idea of what he wants to do.
Now 1-1, he throws a strike there. Well, he's come in the middle of this game and immediately setting the bar at about 95.
That's the one plus side. You don't have to hold anything back. You can come in and let it rip.
And then Lowe, after seeing 95, is out in front of that pitch.
Well, he continues to work his full arsenal too, which sometimes can be tricky. If you're only going to get an inning or two, you know, he's got the fastball, the slider, the changeup. He still finds a way to mix them all in. Try to keep them all as weapons.
Headed out of play. The bat continues. Coming into this game, the Rays a half game ahead of Baltimore. Rays running third, Baltimore fourth. Baltimore coming off a 96-66 year last season. Popped up, coming back. Sally's going to have a play. 1, 2, 3, go the Orioles. Bottom of the 6th inning coming up. It's 5-2 Baltimore. Sun Sports is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance. By Checkers, mix and match our famous Big Buford and Big Chicken Deluxe at 2 for $5. And by the Florida Department of Transportation to remind you to drive sober or get pulled over. Christmas in July here at Tropicana Field. And one of the Christmas gifts in July right there. Logan Forsythe at the plate leading off the bottom of the 6th inning with a count of 1-1.
Was that live?
Yes, live.
That's live. Maybe if they're rally cap, maybe. I'm not real sure what to make of that.
That would be a great rally cap, don't you think? If it's a rally cap, get it going. Something like that tends to get you going.
One way or the other.
Two and two the count. Logan Forsythe up here. Leading off the bottom of the 6th, the Rays on the board with the back-to-back home runs in the 4th. A big threat they could not cash in on in the 5th inning with the bases loaded and 1 out. Forsythe will be followed by Joey Butler and James Loney.
Well, they've started to push a little bit here on Chen. Got to him in the 4th, had him in trouble in the 5th.
Out of play the other way. Forsythe came into the game hitting .300 with 2 home runs off Chen. He's 1 for 2 with another home run so far. Foul down the left side this time.
Shooting those hands through the zone. I mean, Chen's trying to keep it close to him, whether it's the slider or the fastball. But you had better get it in there. He let one leak earlier in the ball game. Last time up, Logan lost it into the seats and left.
Another foul on the fastball to extend the at bat.
Now, this is a really nice at bat by Logan. You know, when he gets up there at the plate, the way he's whipping that bat around, his approach and the way that he presents himself in his stand, he looks like a hitter. I mean, he just looks like a guy that's just ready to let it go.
Well, he's hoping he'll find a pitch here on the 10th pitch of this at bat to let it go.
Leave a hitter out there this long.
And that's high. The count is full.
Well, here comes either a walk or a bullet somewhere, and then that bullpen's going to get busy.
And ball 4. Leadoff walk. A nice job by Forsythe. 11 pitch at bat for Logan. Ladies, you can now take DJ Kitty with you everywhere you go with the DJ Kitty face bag. Presented by Hooters. All ladies can grab theirs while supplies last on Friday, August 7th when the Rays take on the Mets. For tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Rays up. Butler hitting a little tapper down to third. Machado quickly to second, and he gets the lead man there. Machado, a nice play to field and throw to Scope.
I think when Machado took off, my thought was he's going to take the shirt out at first because it took him a while to get there. We know Logan Forsythe, a good base runner, is going to be hustling down to second, but he decides to make that throw across his body and just in time. Turned out to be the right play. Didn't know if he would actually make it, but a nice job by Machado.
And Scope's a pretty tall target down there, too. He can help you out at second base with that reach. So 1 on, 1 out. James Loney will step in. Loney fouls the pitch out of play for a strike. Ground ball foul. 0-2. One on, 1 out, bottom of the 6th. And the base hit the other way. Machado, the lone defender over there, could not get there, and the Rays have 2 men on. And for the second straight inning now, the Rays are going to get the potential tying run to the plate.
And you wonder how much longer that Baltimore is going to stick with Chen, because it has been a struggle for him since 2 outs in the fourth. The Rays have really started to get to him. Another opportunity here, and this may be it.
Well, your answer is in this walk to the mound by Buck Showalter. That's going to be it. Chen departs. Back in a moment. Proudly serving Rays fans for 18 years. Come join the party we call Hat Tricks by Kubota. For more information or to find a participating dealer, go to FloridaKubotaDealers.com. And by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Well, the Rays again have put up a threat. They're down 5-2. They'll have the potential tying run to the plate in Tim Beckham. They're going to face Tommy Hunter, hard throwing right-hander out of the bullpen. Beckham doubled his last time. Ball low and away. Thirty-eighth appearance for Hunter. 1-1. Oh, cutting away from him.
Yeah, nasty pitch there by Tommy Hunter. Cutter, slider. He throws it hard. His fastball that keep it in that mid-90s range.
He missed there. That one in around 98. Kevin Jepson up in the bullpen.
And that didn't miss by much. And that's a big swing. Tommy Hunter thinking he got that pitch and it was going to be 1-2. 2-1. Different story.
He pitched the cutter over. It's 2-2. See Hunter working over that outside part of the zone, thinking that he should have had a couple other pitches, but the count is 2-2. Into the dirt. The runners are going to try to advance to throw down to second. And Loney runs into the out there. So Butler goes to third on the pitch in the dirt, and Loney is cut down trying to advance.
Well, a situation, a breaking ball in the dirt. Let's see the secondary lead. You see James Loney, the secondary lead, not very aggressive, and he was caught flat-footed. And he just was not able to get down there. There was no momentum moving towards second base. Kind of got caught there, almost leaning back towards first. And then once he started it up, it ended up being a little bit too late. That's a tough base runner to lose in this situation.
And so that's ball 4 right there. Beckham drawing the walk on a pitch down and away. He had, for a moment, lost track of the count. So the Rays have now men at first and third with 2 outs. It will be Jake Elmore. Bouncing ball, Machado gloves and throws. Elmore's out, and the Rays leave 2. We're headed into the 7th, 5-2 Baltimore. Mike Ico was on this day in 2010. Matt Garza throwing the first and only no-hitter in team history, facing just a minimum 27 batters as the Rays defeated the Tigers 5-0. Matt Garza retiring a club record 22 consecutive hitters after a second-inning walk. The Rays have had a couple opportunities in the last 2 innings to cut into the deficit. It's 5-2 as we move into the 7th. And Chris Davis leads off against Alex Colomé. Davis walked and scored in the first, singled in the third, struck out in the 4th inning. One and one. Brad Brock getting loose in the Baltimore bullpen. Two balls and a strike. Machado will be next. Three and one. Chris Davis, the difference in last night's game with a grand slam. Now the count is full. Beckham, the right side, takes care of that. Rays shortstop throws out Chris Davis. One away. That's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Nathan Carnes will be out after win number 6. We'll hear from him. And Orestes will break down the Tigers slugger J.D. Martinez. He continues to be outstanding with that bat in a Tigers uniform. Swing and a miss. Machado. And I'm for 3, 1 strike.
I've already heard that Nathan Carnes has been lobbying Kevin Cash to be inserted into the lineup, no DH, and hit in the 8-hole.
It sounds like a plan. Single-handedly give the Rays a win in Philadelphia, and impressed a lot of people with the BP he took apparently in Toronto. He went after that one. Machado out on 3 pitches. Could not stop after he started to chase and committed.
Well, too much movement. You're right. That ball's down in the zone, and you see just got lazy there towards the end. That bat a little bit too far. Colomé picks up the punch out, and 1 out away from giving his offense another chance.
Jones fouling the fastball away. What a nice combination here from Colomé. That good fastball consistently around 95. And then the slider, a great weapon to go with that.
There it is.
And he has Jones chasing it.
You get that fastball in the mid-90s, and then you get this kind of sweeping action at 89. Almost like a low cutter. Nasty pitch.
The 0-2. And he strikes him out. Got ahead with the hard stuff. Went away twice and got him swinging. 7th inning stretch time. welcome you back to Tropicana Field. Our game swinging into the bottom of the 7th. Our game summary presented by Golden Diamond Source. 3 runs in the first for the Orioles, and then 2 in the 4th. Those 2 coming on a home run by Caleb Joseph. The Rays got 2 in their half of the 4th on back-to-back home runs on consecutive pitches to Evan Longoria and Logan Forsythe. The Rays are coming in to hit in the bottom of the 7th inning, still down by 3. Take a look at our Toyota trend here. Since the 9th of July, the Rays have averaged 2.5 runs a game. The surprising thing about that, they're tied for 28. How does that not be 30?
Yeah, I mean, just tough to all those numbers. Tough to win ball games, and you know, you're in a situation here that you're into the bottom of the 7th inning. You only have 2 runs on the board. You're going to need 5 just to force some more baseball to tie this game up. Brad Brock comes in, and this Baltimore bullpen, you know, has been very good. You go back over the last couple of months, one of the top bullpens in all of baseball with the different angles that they give you, the different looks. Brad Brock, tall, lanky, unconventional arm slot, good stuff.
A lot of strikeouts, very few walks, 50 strikeouts in just under 47 innings. John Jaso pinch hitting for Kurt Casale to lead it off here in the home half of the 7th. 1-0 the count. Jaso takes a cut, fouls it back. Kevin Kiermaier has already come out on deck. Now to play, now 1-2. Two and two. Jaso was the DH last night. Had a double and 4 at bats. Ground ball into short right. Scopes out there though in the shift. Jaso hits it right into the shift. 1 away.
And he really didn't have much choice. That was the first pitch of the at-bat that Brock came in with the fastball. And so, you know, as a hitter that's seeing that ball come boring in on him, especially from Brock's arm angle, you got to pull it. And it's right into the teeth of that defense.
Now Kevin Kiermaier bats for Brandon Guyer with the right-hander Brock in the game. That fastball in the mid-90s in near the handle of the bat right there.
Uncomfortable is all you can say. 95 coming at you. Gonna get it started early. He's got a good changeup too.
One and one. Tapper right side, unassisted Flaherty. A couple ground balls here against the right-hander. As promised earlier in the game, we've selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. So tweet your strongest fan photo, the hashtag #SSDataStrongFan, for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Fun of the old ballpark here. He's trying to do something dramatic in the late stages here to increase that fun quotient. They're down 5-2 right now.
And if they are able to do something like that, it'll take that fun quotient and then some. I mean, you talk about late comeback victories, charging up some people, charging up a team for that matter. Not going to be easy.
Had some opportunities, one in the 5th and one in the 6th. Now it's 3-0. Longoria on deck. That's ball 4. With 2 outs, Brock walks Souza Jr. Now Evan Longoria to bat against Brock. Evan hit his 10th home run of the year in the 4th. Down in the count and hit a fastball out.
0-2. Trying to go up and away and not up enough. Evan drilled that. Logan Forsythe would follow that up with another shot. And right now, that's your Rays scoring.
Down in the count. The home run for Evan was his first since the 7th of this month when he hit one out in Kansas City. The ball, 2 strikes. Close for ball 2. 2-2.
Everything from Brock to Longoria has been down. Deeper you work into the count, you hope to see something come up just a hair. You can get a good swing on it.
And a cut and a miss. 2 strikes out Longoria. And the Rays going to walk, leave a man. We're headed into the 8th. 5-2 Baltimore. Rays are pleased to announce a special program for the military now through the end of the season. Active duty, retired, and honorably discharged veterans can get a Rays Honor Pass, entitling them to 2 free tickets to any Rays regular season home game. Visit RaysBaseball.com/Honor Pass for more information. Kevin Kiermaier out there now in center field after pinch hitting in the 7th. And behind the plate, Rene Rivera joins the defensive effort. Kiermaier in center and Rivera catching. Alex Colomé, 2 innings under his belt. The first pitch to J.J. Hardy's a strike. Day starts to limber in the bullpen down the left field line. One and one. Two and one. Into center field. Kiermaier is right there and makes the catch. One away.
That didn't take long to find him out there in center field. A well-struck ball by J.J. Hardy. I tell you, you get that home run by Caleb Joseph in the 4th inning, but there's not been a lot going on offensively. Kind of like last night's game. Get the grand slam and then things quieted down. The Rays with those opportunities to close within 5-2. Some opportunities to maybe eat into that even further.
And that's been pretty much the case between the Rays and the Orioles all season. The Rays down 5-6 in the season series, and not a lot of offense through the first 11 games. Baltimore hitting under 200, 197, yet they lead the series 6-5. The Rays have hit only 206.
Yeah, I mean, the average score of the ball games coming into play here was like 3 to 2.7. I mean, very little margin for error. It's tiny.
Well, 3 of the 5 wins the Rays have were shutouts: 2-0, 2-0, and 3-0.
Every chance, every run. Not only does it mean something throughout the course of the season, but in this head-to-head matchup, maybe even more than that.
Tap is foul. It's 2-2. Ron Flaherty on deck. The Rays were 10 games over 500 on the 20th of June, a little more than a month ago. Since then, they've dropped 20 of 29 games. And they're still looking for the offense to emerge. Down by 3 runs right now.
Well, and to that end, you know, a couple days ago, Kevin Cash had the crew out early bunting, working on that, you know, saying, listen, if we're not going to be able to slug and not going to score runs traditionally, then we've got to be able to move runners. You start to think about the bunt to create another opportunity here or there that maybe you can come through on. Anything that you can do to empty the arsenal of thoughts, of fundamentals, whatever it is, to try to get one extra run a game, make a huge difference.
(3-2) to Reimold. Broken bat, the fly ball short center. Kiermaier is going to have to play it on one big hop. And Reimold is on for the 4th time in this game. He breaks his bat and has a 1-out single in the 8th.
You know, right off the end, that bat just shears in half. And the ball finds the turf.
During that run, the Rays have gone 9-20. They've averaged just under 3 runs a game, 2.9 runs, and hit 185 with men in scoring position. Hence the need to be as creative as possible and the extra work on bunting. Flaherty takes a pitch down. That base hit by Reimold, the first hit given up by Colomé. 1-1 to Flaherty. Five innings for Matt Moore today, 87 pitches, 5 runs, 8 hits. Colomé, 2 1/3 into his relief stint. Runner goes. The pitch is fouled out of play. So Reimold retraces his steps. Flaherty played second base in the first game of this series. Runner goes again, and Flaherty fouls it. So for Flaherty, the hitter now, he's played all 4 infield positions and the corner outfield spots, so they use him everywhere.
It's becoming the trend. You see it almost on every team now. They've got a guy that they would like to do that with. You know, infield, outfield, move you all around. So much more versatile and valuable. And not easy as far as the job description. Totally different looks.
He got him. Struck him out. Strikeout number 4, the second out in the 8th inning. Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Boys and Girls Clubs help young people reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible citizens through programs promoting character and leadership, education, healthy lifestyles, and more. For information, visit foxsportsupports.com. Now it's Jonathan Scope. Check-in of Reimold at first. Scope had the infield hit in the 4th and then scored on the very next pitch when Caleb Joseph homered. The Baltimore attack, paying off the scoring opportunities, have pretty much come at a rapid pace. After Hardy's single homer run in the 1st, on the very next pitch, Reimold doubled home 2. Then Scope had the base hit in the 4th, and on the very next pitch, Caleb Joseph hit a 2-run home run. All of that against Matt Moore. Now a 1-strike count to Scope in the 8th. It's 1-1. Colomé trying to finish off his 3rd inning of work. He pitched 1 inning in Friday's game and turned out to be the winning pitcher in that one when the Rays scored 3 times in the 8th. A ball and a strike. LeMay misses inside. Headed toward right center field. Cut off by Kiermaier. Reibold's going to be stopped at third. Now he's going to run right through the stop sign. And the Rays are going to tag him out. Rivera ran him right back toward third and put the tag on him. So the Rays get a break there. It's 5-2 Baltimore. Two ball game. The highlight presented by H.H. Gregg, and the Rays are wondering, can Lightning strike twice, going back to their comeback victory here Friday against O'Day.
Well, Darren O'Day came into that outing with an ERA of 1.04. That was good enough for second in the major leagues for a reliever. He comes into this outing at 1.5, and that was the game that the Rays scored 3 in the 8th. 3 in the 8th here, well, it would tie that ball game up.
There's the line on O'Day Friday, suffering the loss. And Logan Forsythe will begin the bottom of the 8th in this game. O'Day throws him a strike. Chandler 5 1/3, Hunter 2/3, Brock an inning, and you see his numbers, 38th appearance. Two strikes. Brandon Gomes up in the Rays bullpen. One and two. Ground ball right side, and that one's going to slip through, so there's a base hit. They had the shift on, and Forsythe got that little ground ball to the open side of the infield.
You're trying to give yourself a chance. The Rays have been victimized by the shift earlier in this game, and now this time a little bit of revenge as Logan Forsythe's got an open, wide open right side of the infield. That ball down and away makes it a little easier. Contact doesn't have to be perfect. Leadoff base runner. And then you wonder if you start to get Darren O'Day thinking about what happened the other night, then you can make things interesting again. But the Rays continue to give themselves opportunities. At some point, you got to cash them in.
Well, David DeJesus will bat now for Joey Butler. Butler had doubled in 3 official at bats. Pitch is wide. 1 ball, no strikes. Rays had opportunities in the 5th and 6th. Now leadoff single in the 8th. 1-1. Forsythe, the base runner. Ground ball by the mound, right at the bag at second. Out there, the throw to first. Tailor-made for J.J. Hardy. All he had to do is field the ball, step on the bag, and throw to first to get 2.
And it could not have worked out any more perfect for Baltimore. This ball down and away. Dave DeJesus is going to chop it, and it's right over the bag. It doesn't get any easier than that.
So suddenly nobody on base with 2 outs. Here's James Loney. Takes it too low. Well, Loney singled against the shift in the 6th inning and then ran into an out at second base for the 2nd out. Out of play, 1-1. Baltimore out hitting the Rays 10-7, and they lead 5-2. Toward the line, that ball will be fair. Bound into foul territory. Loney on his way to second, and that's going to be close. He's out at second base. Loney tagged out by Scope on what appeared to be a cinch double. Turns out to be a single, and he's put out trying to go to second.
Especially when this ball gets away from David Lowe. You know, he's got to go all the way to the low wall to turn around and make this throw. Plenty of time, you think, for James Loney to get in there. But it looked like that tag may have gotten the front toe. Yeah.
So we're through 8. It's still 5-2.
Baltimore lead back here inside Tropicana Field. Stick around for the post-game show presented by Checkers. O and I will discuss Matt Moore's performance. We'll also talk about those back-to-back home runs, the third time this year the Rays have done that. And since today marks the century mark of the season, the 100th game of the season, we'll also do a State of the Rays brought to you by Arestas Destrada, guys.
All right, thank you very much. We'll look forward to that as we go to the ninth inning. It's 5-2 Baltimore. David DeJesus in left. Brandon Gomes. Gomes pitcher number 3. One strike the count here to Caleb Joseph. Two quick strikes here from Gomes. Colomé worked 3 innings. Gave up 2 hits, no runs, 4 strikeouts in relief of Matt Moore. And Joseph will be put out at first from the toss by Rivera down to Loney. So 1 away here in the ninth. There's David Lowe, top of the order for Baltimore. And a strike low. 0 for 4. Nothing at 2. The Rays trail Baltimore 5-2 here in the top of the ninth inning. Yankees and the Twins are tied 1-1 in Minnesota, top of the 6th there. And Lowe strikes out. Back-to-back strikeouts by Gomes. 10 on today for Rays pitching.
A good look at that split grip and the action on the pitch. David Lowe, he's trying to lengthen everything out to get to him and could not do so. Well, I'll tell you what, Dwayne, 100 games into the season now, and obviously you've come to a make or break part of the season and also part of the schedule. When you look at the teams that they're going to be facing going forward here the next 3 or 4 series, they're teams that you absolutely have to make a move against.
Prince Davis lifts it into left. DeJesus out there now. And it's a 1-2-3 night. So the Rays will be coming in for their final shot today. Bottom of the ninth, down by 3. stages of this game in the 5th and 6th. In for their final shot in the 9th inning now, trailing 5-2. And they'll face the left-hander, and a tough one at that in Zach Britton.
24 out of 25 in saves. Opponent's average just over 200, an ERA at 1.63. You know, he's got that turbo sinker with very good velocity. So he'll get a lot of ground balls, his fair share of strikeouts.
Tim Beckham will lead off. And the Rays need a couple base runners to have a shot. Strike one.
I mean, you do not see guys able to get that kind of late sinking action on a pitch that's thrown 97 miles an hour. That's almost not fair. He stays very tall over the rubber. A lot of good hand speed out in front. See right there how he finishes that pitch, and that little hand whip at the end. He's able to create that movement. Not a lot of guys can.
Just like that, it's 0-2 on Beckham. Enough to stay alive. Oh, 2 on Beckham. Britton selected to the All-Star team this year for the first time in his career. And a swing and a miss at the ball in the dirt. Beckham out to start this one. Let's take a look at this pitch.
Well, and this is coming after 3 straight sinkers away. And so you get Tim Beckham thinking about that pitch away, and then all of a sudden he snapdragons that hook down and under the swing and picks up a chase strikeout.
Jake Elmore. Britton last year was 37 out of 41 in save opportunities, and this year 24 out of 25. Two and 0. Now 2-1. Fastball 97. Strikeouts and a lot of ground balls with Britton on the mound. Now 3-1. A walk drawn by Elmore. And the Rays have one of those runners they need. 1 on, 1 out. Here's Rene Rivera.
I think Jake Elmore's approach right there was that sinker. It's nasty, but it also runs out of the zone quite a bit. So you're going to have to prove to me that you can keep it in there. The moment that you go chasing after that pitch is when you beat it right into the ground, because it'll start in the strike zone and then take itself right out. You've got to really try to concentrate and hopefully be disciplined enough to see Britton bring the ball up in the zone, or you don't have much of a chance.
Rivera down, a strike. Now down 0-2. We've looked at the first two down there. Rene Rivera 0-2 in his career against Britton. Just a little bit of that one to keep it going.
Well, now you got to cover everything, and if you look at Jake Elmer over there on first base being held on by Ryan Flaherty, and Scope kind of up the middle, where you can envision one of those sinkers. Maybe Rene Rivera can push it out this way and find that hole on the right side.
And he is out on strikes. 97. 2 gone, both strikeouts.
It's so hard because you can tell yourself to be disciplined and see the sinker up in the zone. But once you get to 2 strikes and you got to cover everything, well, now you're a little bit more apt to swing. And that's why those chase pitches, when a pitcher gets himself in, that's a pitch you maybe don't swing at, strike 1 or strike 2. But with 2 strikes, you're a lot more apt to. And that's exactly what happened.
Kevin Kiermaier. This is that one. That's strike 1. Just when you think it can't get any tougher, he goes from 97 to 98 down there with that pitch.
So a thing that came out last year, they said name the 10 best pitches in the game. It could be somebody's slider and this and that and the other. And Zach Britton's sinker was right there at the top of the list. That's how nasty that is. His ability to throw that quality of a pitch at the velocity he does is what separates it. That's why you close games.
And this one is over. 97 down. Kiermaier out on strikes. Britton strikes out the side, gives up a walk, and the Orioles win this one 5-2. 5-10-0 for Baltimore with 6 left. 2-8-0 with 8 left for the Rays. Chen the winner, Moore the loser, and Britton picks up the save before 18,613. We'll be with you tomorrow at 6:30 with the Detroit Tigers coming in to open a 3-game series. Now for Brian Anderson and the rest of our crew, this is Dwayne Stats. Hope you've enjoyed the telecast. If not the outcome, Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers, comes your way next.